What if your sensitivity wasn't a weakness, but your greatest strength? Imagine a world where your unique way of perceiving and processing information wasn't just accepted, but celebrated. A world where your ability to notice subtle details, your deep empathy, or your intense focus on topics that fascinate you were recognized as superpowers rather than quirks or disorders. This isn't a far-off utopia. It's the world that Jenara Nerenberg invites us to create in her groundbreaking book, Divergent Mind, Thriving in a World That Wasn't Designed for You. Welcome to CEO's Library, the 1% Bookshelf. I'm your host, and today we're diving into a book that has the power to transform how we think about neurodiversity, sensitivity, and what it means to have a normal brain. Whether you identify as neurodivergent or consider yourself neurotypical, this episode will challenge your assumptions and open your eyes to the incredible diversity of human minds. Before we dive in, I want to share a story that perfectly illustrates why this conversation is so crucial. Meet Sarah, a successful marketing executive in her late 30s. From the outside, Sarah seemed to have it all together: a thriving career, a loving family, and a wide circle of friends. But inside, Sarah felt like she was constantly struggling, always a step behind, always working twice as hard as everyone else just to keep up. For years, Sarah bounced from therapist to therapist, collecting diagnoses like anxiety and depression. She tried countless medications and therapy approaches, but nothing seemed to fully address the deep sense of difference she felt. It wasn't until her own daughter was diagnosed with autism that Sarah began to see herself in a new light. As she researched autism in girls and women, Sarah felt like she was reading her own biography. The intense emotions, the social exhaustion, the sensory sensitivities. Suddenly, so many pieces of her life started to make sense. At the age of 39, Sarah was finally diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. Sarah's story is far from unique. Countless women go through life feeling fundamentally different, struggling to fit into a world that seems to come so naturally to everyone else. They may be highly sensitive, have ADHD, autism, synesthesia, or other neurodivergent traits. But because these conditions often present differently in women, they frequently go undiagnosed or misdiagnosed for years, even decades. This is the hidden world that Jenara Nerenberg unveils in Divergent Mind. Through extensive research and personal interviews, Nerenberg sheds light on the unique experiences of neurodivergent women and offers a powerful reframing of neurodiversity not as a set of disorders to be cured, but as a natural and valuable form of human diversity. So, how does neurodivergence present differently in women? Let's break it down. First, there's the issue of masking. Many neurodivergent women become incredibly adept at hiding their struggles and mimicking neurotypical behavior. This is often a survival strategy developed from a young age, as girls face intense social pressure to conform and connect. While boys who are different might be labeled as quirky or even admired for their unique interests, girls who don't fit in often face harsher social consequences. This masking can be so effective that even the women themselves might not realize how much energy they're expending just to appear normal. It's only when they reach a breaking point, often in their 30s or 40s when the demands of career and family become overwhelming, that the mask starts to slip. Another key difference is in how conditions like ADHD and autism manifest. The stereotypical image of ADHD is a hyperactive little boy who can't sit still in class. But in women, ADHD often shows up as inattentiveness, difficulty with organization, and emotional dysregulation. A woman with ADHD might be seen as ditzy, overly emotional, or just bad at adulting, when in reality, her brain is wired differently. Similarly, autism in women often looks very different from the male-centric diagnostic criteria. Autistic women may have intense interests, but these might be in more socially acceptable areas like literature or psychology rather than trained schedules or computer systems. They may struggle with social interaction, but have learned to cope through careful observation and imitation of others. Sensory sensitivities are another common thread among neurodivergent women. This might manifest as being overwhelmed by loud noises, bright lights, or certain textures. It could also show up as a deep appreciation for beauty, a rich inner world, or an ability to notice details others miss. So, how can you recognize and embrace your own neurodivergent traits? Start by paying attention to patterns in your life. Do you often feel overwhelmed in situations that others seem to handle easily? Do you have intense interests that you can focus on for hours? Are you highly empathetic to the point where you sometimes feel like you're absorbing others' emotions? These aren't flaws or weaknesses. They're aspects of your unique neurological makeup. The key is learning to work with your brain rather than constantly fighting against it. This brings us to one of the most empowering aspects of Nerenberg's book, the idea that neurodivergent traits can actually be superpowers when properly understood and channeled. Let's take ADHD as an example. We often focus on the challenges of ADHD: difficulty focusing, impulsivity, disorganization. But what if we reframe these traits? That difficulty focusing on boring tasks often comes with an ability to hyper-focus on topics of interest. This intense focus can lead to incredible creativity and innovation. Many entrepreneurs and creative professionals have ADHD. Their ability to think outside the box, take risks, and see connections others miss can be invaluable in fields that require innovation. The key is finding environments and roles that allow these strengths to shine. For those on the autism spectrum, traits like pattern recognition, attention to detail, and deep focus can be incredible assets in fields like science, technology, and the arts. Many groundbreaking scientists and artists throughout history are now believed to have been on the autism spectrum. Highly sensitive people, or HSPs, often have a deep capacity for empathy, creativity, and complex thinking. They may be more attuned to subtle changes in their environment and in others' emotions, making them excellent in roles that require emotional intelligence and nuanced understanding. Synesthetes, who experience a blending of senses, like seeing colors when they hear music, often excel in creative fields. Their unique way of perceiving the world can lead to innovative art, music, and design. The key to harnessing these divergent superpowers is twofold. First, it's about recognizing and valuing your unique traits rather than trying to suppress them. Second, it's about finding or creating environments that allow these strengths to flourish. To identify your own cognitive gifts, start by reflecting on what comes naturally to you. What activities make you lose track of time? What do others often compliment you on or come to you for help with? These can be clues to your innate strengths. Next, think about how these strengths might be applied in different contexts. If you're great at noticing patterns and details, how could that be valuable in your work or personal projects? If you have a rich imagination and tendency to daydream, how could that fuel creative endeavors? It's also worth noting that many neurodivergent individuals have what's called spiky profiles, areas of exceptional ability alongside areas of significant challenge. Recognizing this can help you focus on leveraging your strengths while finding strategies or support for areas of difficulty. Remember, the goal isn't to force yourself to excel in areas that don't come naturally, but to create a life that plays to your strengths and accommodates your needs. This brings us to a crucial question. How might your home and work life change if it was built for your brain? One of the most powerful ideas in Divergent Mind is the concept of redesigning our environments to better suit neurodivergent needs. This isn't about asking for special treatment. It's about creating spaces and systems that allow everyone to thrive. Let's start with the workplace. Many traditional office environments are a nightmare for neurodivergent individuals. Open-plan offices, with their constant noise and visual distractions, can be overwhelming for those with sensory sensitivities or difficulty filtering stimuli. Imagine instead a workplace that offers a variety of spaces: quiet areas for focused work, collaborative spaces for team projects, and sensory-friendly zones for those who need them. Flexible work hours could accommodate those who have different energy cycles or need more time to transition between tasks. Even small changes can make a big difference. Providing noise-canceling headphones, allowing fidget tools, or offering text-based alternatives to meetings can help neurodivergent employees manage their sensory input and communicate more effectively. At home, similar principles apply. Creating a sensory-friendly environment might involve using soft lighting, choosing fabrics and furnishings with pleasing textures, and establishing quiet zones for decompression. Organization systems can be tailored to work with your brain rather than against it. For someone with ADHD, this might mean using visual cues and reminders, breaking tasks into smaller steps, or using body doubling, working alongside someone else, for motivation. For those on the autism spectrum, having clear routines and designated spaces for different activities can help reduce anxiety and increase focus. This might involve creating a detailed schedule or using visual aids to map out daily tasks. Highly sensitive individuals might benefit from creating a sanctuary space in their home, a room or area specifically designed for calm and recharging. This could include elements like soft textures, soothing colors, and nature-inspired decor. It's also worth considering how technology can be leveraged to support neurodivergent needs. Apps for time management, sensory regulation, or social cue interpretation can be incredibly helpful tools. Remember, the goal isn't to isolate yourself from the world, but to create environments that allow you to engage with it more fully and authentically. Here are some practical tips for optimizing your environment. 1. Conduct a sensory audit of your spaces. Pay attention to what elements feel calming or energizing and which feel draining or overwhelming. 2. Experiment with different organizational systems until you find what works for you. This might be very different from what works for neurotypical individuals. 3. Communicate your needs clearly to those around you. Many people are willing to make accommodations if they understand why they're important. 4. Seek out or create communities of like-minded individuals. Having a support network that understands your experiences can be incredibly validating and helpful. 5. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. If traditional solutions aren't working, get creative in finding alternatives that suit your unique brain. As we wrap up our exploration of Divergent Mind, let's recap some of the key takeaways. First, neurodiversity is a natural and valuable form of human variation. Conditions like ADHD, autism, high sensitivity, and synesthesia aren't flaws to be fixed, but different ways of experiencing and interacting with the world. Second, these neurodivergent traits often come with unique strengths and abilities. By recognizing and nurturing these strengths, we can unlock incredible potential for creativity, innovation, and deep understanding. Third, creating environments that accommodate neurodivergent needs isn't just about making life easier for a few individuals. It's about creating a more inclusive and dynamic society for everyone. Finally, understanding and embracing neurodiversity can be profoundly healing for those who have spent their lives feeling different or broken. It offers a new lens through which to view our experiences and challenges. So, what's your next step? I encourage you to reflect on your own traits and experiences. Are there aspects of your cognition or sensitivity that you've been trying to suppress or overcome? How might your life change if you viewed these as potential strengths rather than weaknesses? Consider reading Divergent Mind for yourself. Jenara Nerenberg's insights and the stories she shares can be truly transformative, whether you identify as neurodivergent or simply want to better understand the diversity of human minds. Remember, the goal isn't to label yourself or others, but to gain a deeper understanding of the incredible variety of human cognition and experience. By embracing neurodiversity, we open ourselves up to new ways of thinking, creating, and connecting. In a world that often values conformity, choosing to embrace your divergent mind can be a radical act of self-acceptance. It's not always easy, but it's a journey that can lead to greater authenticity, creativity, and fulfillment. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Divergent Mind. If you found this episode valuable, please consider sharing it with others who might benefit from this perspective. And don't forget to check out the Amazon link in the episode description to get your own copy of Jenara Nerenberg's groundbreaking book. Until next time, keep embracing your unique mind and all the gifts it brings to the world. This is CEO's Library, the 1% Bookshelf, signing off.